Hi. Right, day after the last update, which was Monday. If you look back at the previous videos, you'll find I was just talking about how Ben was supposed to come up Sunday on his last day off from the weekend, and he had a virus. And then I came out on the Monday, which was yesterday, not feeling too well myself again last week. So when I said on the last update I was going to smash out the rest of the digging, that was a little bit ambitious, and I think I'd done about half an hour and called it a day. But I've come out this morning, the sun was just out, it's a little bit warmer today and there's not as much wind, so I want to get on with it, get the rest of the digging. I've nearly finished, and I'll just show you now where I'm up to. Put a little bit of shoring up at the back there. And another thing I'd done yesterday, got a knife there, let's approach here, I'll talk about those in a second. Another thing I'd done yesterday was went down to the local hardware shop and just got this green, I haven't even opened the bag, green poly bonded tarp. And they're the sort of woven tarps that years ago used to shred and break apart quite easily. But these days I don't know what they've done, they seem to have like poly bonded it, and I'm hoping this is one of those, because this new type of bonded poly tarp, really cheap. I said you get them in the Builders merchants if you can't find them anywhere else. And this was only £8, so it's 3.5 metres by 2.5 metres, and that should hopefully go right across our shelter with a little bit of the curve we're going to put in for the hazel pole roof. And what will break this down quickly will be sunlight, UV. I've noticed before that they seem to break down in the sunshine, but when they're covered up and out of the sunshine, they seem to last for a hell of a long time. So hopefully this will go on our hazel pole structure, and then we'll cover it with as much debris and as much of the sand that I'm now banking up at the top. Anyway, let me show you what I've done. Just grab the camera. So I'm taking the sand out now in sort of spades, like spits, and trying to keep it together a little bit like bricks. I've just banked up the front, and I've decided that the door's going to go on that side. That's where the door will go. That'll be the front. You can see it goes up the back, and again we've just been banking the sand and green sand it is here mostly up equally on both sides. And now when we get into the back two steps, because we've dug this out in steps, there's the last sort of, this was up to this sort of height. I've just dug that out this morning. I suppose Ben done about 2 hours actual digging by the time we had breaks the other day, and I've done another hour today, so it's only about 3 hours digging. You young commandos could smash that out, no doubt. So all I've done is put up at the back some stakes. I've not used any other tools out of shot. It's just been the survival knife and the spade. That's just broken, dead standing, seasoned hazel poles. And we've got round us 1, 2, 3, 4 really good stands of hazels, and all of these materials, I haven't had to travel more than 2 metres from here. It's important when you pick your site as well. You won't always get the perfect site and opportunity, but if you can have it as close to your materials as possible and safe facing, that's a great advantage. But anyway, put some poles in, pretty simple, just pressed them into the ground, and then just got some rotten logs or long poles that had fallen down from the hazel. You can see once it starts to fall over downhill, as soon as the tip gets lower than the base, it normally dies. So just putting that up, and all the rest of the sand now will go up above that, so it's easy to gather downhill to go onto the roof. Anyway, let's get on with it. A few rocks there. Trying to do there, just be clever and put the spade down like that, leave it that with the leverage, and just spin it over, put it on the bank. Nothing like practicing with tools to find out how easy ways of using them. We've got some limestone coming out of here now, a little bit there. I'm going to put that down in the corner I'm intending to make the fireplace. And what I've also done is this lovely green sand now. I'm taking out, I suppose, a couple of bags full, what would be sandbags full, and putting them down in the corner where I'm intending on making the fireplace. So I've got it clean for making render. So finally finished the digging. And there you go, try and get the angle. Sorry about the squeak holding the camera or the phone. And what I'd done just while I was waiting for the dreaded battery to recharge, just took the approach shears and went and got some hazel poles. And I know I said I was going to get them from these 3 trees round us, and I thought, well, I've got some energy, go a little bit further into the woodland and get those. I've got those as long as I can, and they're going across the straddle of the shelter, so hopefully 2 together and meet in the middle and they'll be long enough. Anyway, that's all done. I've run out of energy. It's time for lunch, and I said I got a squirrel yesterday, took a squirrel yesterday, so I'm going to light the fire. Got my coffee kit with me as well. Get a fire going, process that squirrel, show how to do that. And while that's cooking, I need to get that tarp out of the bag because I haven't checked it yet. Put the first poles on, the roof poles on. Well, check the tarp fits across it first of all, then put the first roof poles on, and then make it ready just to put the tarp over it and pin down just in case the weather turns. It's gone a little bit grey now. In case it rains, at least we've got some sort of shelter then straight away. Right, let's get this fire going, get this squirrel done. Right, just getting the fire going, and then I'm going to process this squirrel with the survival knife. In my mind I've got it. It's I reckon about a 1 or 2 year old male, so it's not going to be the most tenderest piece of meat in the world. So what I wanted to try and do is tenderise it, and basically mince it with the back of the knife. I've been and got this log here. You can see it's been growing up that way, and it just snapped off it. It was one of the branches that were going down to the floor. That's going to give me a good working surface, hopefully. I'll scrape the moss and the bark off that in a minute and make that into a chopping block. Let me just try and get this fire going in a second. Get enough wood on there till it burns, and then I'll get on with the squirrel. Okay, so the fire's going nice now. Got a little bit sort of stuff, no thicker really than my thumb going on there. I'm just going to let that burn down a little bit so we've got some embers to cook these sort of kebabs I'm going to try and make. So, first of all, what we need to do is if I can get something to nail down to. At the moment, we're working on the slope, as we talked about. I was going to take this log inside to where the shelter is because we've got a flat floor, but then I thought do all the sort of guts and gore outside anyway. So if you're watching this video and you don't want to see dead animals being prepared, switch off now, and I apologise if that offends anybody, but I eat meat. I was gonna do this with just a packet of chicken from the shops, which I could have done, but I say I had to take a squirrel yesterday, so I don't want to let it go to waste. Right, squirrel's up there, just out of shot probably, and it was just in the smoke. And one thing I'd say is, like, when you've got your game, try and keep it, I've got a fire going, always have it hung up in the smoke. And if it was, I mean, it's the middle of winter today, there's no flies around, but if there was any flies around, I'd probably try to have had that fire sort of somewhere where I could get upwind of it, so I'd be sort of slightly covered by the smoke. Does that make sense? It's a bit close to that tree to do that, and that'll allow the smoke to blow over me all the time, keeping the flies off. You don't want to like be right in sort of dense smoke, but you won't get a lot of smoke off of your fire, hopefully. Anyway, we're using hazel, creates the least amount of smoke, and carbon, and you probably see there's not much smoke at all today off of that. The wood's quite dry, it hasn't rained now for 4 or 5 days, so we let that burn down. Anyway, let's get on with the squirrel. So I have got my little tiny opinel knife in there, which would be ideal for doing small game preparation, but if you haven't and you've only got an axe or something, or a big survival knife, or your classic bushcraft knife, that's all you may have anyway. So get off basically what I don't want straight away. So I don't want the head, I don't want the tail, I don't want the ends of the legs, basically the feet where there's going to be too much bone, and what I don't want is the guts. So I'll take off the head, the tail and the ends of the feet, and then I'll start trying to strip it down. I'm trying to preserve as much of the fur, nothing goes to waste, all of the guts. Try and think about something to do with that, and if anyone's got any good ideas about what you can do with the guts of squirrel, I'm especially interested in anyone if they know about how to make cord, basically, and whether we can use any of the guts for this, for making any type of cord or anything. So anyway, before we start, let's just trim off the back of the knife, sorry. Trim off that moss. Again, this hasn't been on the ground in the mud, no animal's been over it. It was up off the ground attached to the tree, I just leant on it and broke it off. But what we will do is we will make sure our food gets very hot and very well cooked. So we're not too worried about bacteria, and we don't want to be really washing this. We haven't got, what I don't want to do is use water. I haven't got any water yet. I haven't been to the spring, found any water, collected any rainwater. My water I have got is probably precious for drinking. So try and do this without using any water. And the most, I suppose, antibacterial clean thing I would have to prepare this, if I want to put something onto it, would be the ash from the fire or any charcoal, because we know that's been basically sanitized, so we could rub that into a surface and then dust it off. That would make it a little bit clean if you're worried about any bacteria. Anyway, let's get off some of the loose stuff. Right, so again, making sure my arms not cutting towards my body at all. My hand is not holding the knife, is well away from the knife. Okay, so we'll start with the head. Okay, there's the head off. I'll just put that up there. First foot. Oh, he went in the fire. Don't need quite that much force. If anyone wants to know, I took this legally with an air rifle, and I've got permission to be on the land. And these grey squirrels, if you're not in the UK, they're considered as a pest, and unfortunately I don't like to kill any animals if I don't have to, but they do decimate the local songbird population. They eat loads of eggs, loads of songbirds' eggs and small chicks. So I won't take too many. There's plenty of forest and woodland for them to be down there, so any that venture into too close if I'm hungry. But anyway, tail off. Now what we don't want to do is get too much fluff now over our board, so the tail can go up there. So just, at the moment we've not exposed any blood. We'll leave this moss up here. That's quite nice for cleaning the blade off, actually. All of our resources on one log. So now we've got it basically cleaned off to what we don't want to go onto the kebabs, okay? So getting the guts out, okay, and taking the fur off with a big blade. This is why you keep the front of your blade quite sharp. What we want to do is cut down from basically between the chest to the legs, each side, and then peel it back off, okay? So rather than try and using it as a butchery, if I was doing professional butchery, as a chef, a butcher's knife, you hold it like that and you always work down from the animal. You never hold, especially if you're doing a big deer or anything, you never work with your hand like that, because it just for the mechanics. Always work with the blade when you're butchering down, okay? But anyway, hard to kind of slice away from me. I don't want to slice towards me, okay? So I'll put that down there and just try and go from where I cut the end of the leg off and slice away from me, okay? Hold it round on that side now. A little bit fiddly with a log. Just get up a little bit. Take a chopping board with you if you can, right down to there. So trouble is I've got my hand underneath there and I could slip off there. Okay, so we'll readjust. The back legs are a little bit bigger and we'll just work away from ourselves, okay? It's nice and controlled. Not going to go anywhere near the guts at the moment, so you don't have to worry about that. Right, got the knife down there. Just have a little look now to make sure we've sliced right through. And you can see as I shot this yesterday, still got rigor mortis in it, but it's just starting to pass now. and hopefully I've gone right across the legs. Okay, try to avoid that blood there, put that up on there. Okay, and what I'm going to take it off so I can see the stomach lining rather than slice through the fur and possibly go. Let's get my kneading log, sorry. And ooh, this is what I'm saying about working on this surface. Rather than go through the fur with the knife and put the fur into the meat and possibly go through the guts because I can't see, what I do is I'll strip it first of all. Okay, and all you want to do now is just try to avoid any broken bones, any shards up there, but just work it. And I would say, if you do dispatch an animal, then do this as quick as you can. It comes off a lot easier, but as soon as rigor mortis has just started to pass, it's not too bad. Okay, we just check that sometimes if you haven't cut all the way through, you can kind of pull it over anyway, but if not, another little tiny stroke. Just got to watch our fire now. It's the thing about cooking fire, you don't want to be too far away from it, always want to keep maintaining it. And before I get this squirrel done, that probably would have burnt down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice across there now, slice down through the legs to the middle, and then take the skin off, the fur off, sorry. But anyway, let's just get a bit more wood on the fire. Definitely when we finish this shelter, we're going to have to make a veranda or a little porch at the front so we don't step off down onto this slope because it's very difficult to work on. So I'm just going to put a little bit more wood on that fire now, and we'll get on with this. Anyway, batteries won't last forever, so I'm going to build up the fire, do this next stage where I cut down to the fur, then I'll show you how to take the fur off, and then we'll start processing it. I'll switch the camera off a minute while I go and get some more firewood and maintain this because the batteries are going to go. Right, back on with the show. I just chucked another handful of firewood on there. It's a nice bed of heat in there now, some embers. Hopefully by the time I finish this, that'll stop smoking and catch itself alight, or one quick blow and get it back onto action. And I just had a quick look at the footage then, and I could see it was a little bit farther away, so I've zoomed in a little bit. Anyway, that was cut from there to there. Can you see that? Okay. Let's do the back legs again. That one's you can, if you've got a really sharp tip knife, sort of go across like that, or put your knife into your chopping block and pull away like that. It's always great if you can make this knife into a sort of, I don't know, a machine, put it into something. But anyway, let's get on with it. There, a second. Tell you what, I'll just keep that knife over there in the smoke. So, right. It's actually just doing this is getting me warmed up and collecting that firewood. Just want to get my thumbs around the back of there now. Now it needs one more cut. It's just always when you're trying to rush. It's funny when when I'm filming, I don't know why I think to myself, I need to hurry up. I suppose to kind of keep it interesting, but you need to focus. Otherwise, that's when mistakes happen, I suppose. God, it's going to be the same as when you're cold and you're tired. If you're not concentrating, I say, if you'd have done this yesterday, when it was warm, it'd come off a lot easier. But again, we're not looking for that classic shot of it on a spit roasting range for ages. We could do that, but it takes a long time to cook. So the smaller we can make the food, the quicker it cooks. And it is a little bit tough. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take my hat off, I'm going to take my coat off, and get a little bit, just keep that up there, getting a little bit warm. Just working on these slopes, taking loads of energy. That's what's going to make a flat surface over there. So again, just running the knife away from you. Remember not to cut towards yourself, and we're not, say, we don't care if it's got slashes in it. Strange noises going on in the woods behind me. Thought a deer was going to come leaping over the top then. Something crashing around. Right, you can see it's leaving a little tiny bit. We could do that a little bit neater. It's even a little bit on the fur, but not too much. As soon as I've got it back to that stage there now, we want to slice down a little bit here, just so I can start peeling it off. Okay, so again, you've got your breastplate up there. Your guts are going to start about here, so there's not too much worry about whether you're going to go for the guts there. And again, just slide off, slice down, just right between the legs. So cut down as far as you can feel, just where the breastbone goes off. And it's just a case of getting your fingers in. I mean, if you didn't have a knife, I suppose, and you didn't have much energy, you just put this on whole. You won't worry about skinning it. You won't worry about the fur on there. You'd burn all that off if you were that hungry. And you won't worry about it. Just working my thumbs now. One against the fur and one against the flesh. I say it should come off now. That's what they call a little bit of the breast meat there. Just working it until I've got all that off. Anyway, little break from the camera, I'll get that done. Try and preserve batteries. Right, that's the fiddly bit, getting off over the shoulders. The most fiddly bit I'm having trouble with is keeping on this slope. So I haven't used the knife again since I switched it off. You can see the pelt's coming off now. So it gives me, say, the guts are all in here. You don't want to like squeeze that and get the guts all over there. But I've got a good surface now, good purchase now to hopefully bring that back on. I can hold up here. What I'm going to do is grip hold of it with my fingers, take it right up to where the fur's still attached, and just pull back with my thumb, hopefully, right? And then just get your thumb. These fingers are going up, and that thumb's going back. And say if it was warm, it'd just fly off. But we're over the legs, over the back there. But just take your time anyway. Trying not to get the meat in contact with the dirt. Scraping it back. Sort of turns itself inside out. As soon as I've got this off and I've done my food, got my tarp off, got my shelter done, I can get that head that I cut off earlier and get the brains out and dry this a little bit and then smear them over there and try tanning the pelt. I normally I'd like to use the brains because they're there, and then I just like to smoke them. I've got a few in a cabin that have been there for, I don't know, 6 years or something, still good. Anyway, there's your lovely squirrel pelt, and he's like a pouch because I didn't cut the bottom bit there. This is where the legs went. Okay, but he's not a pouch because he's got 2 holes in it. But if we want to make that into more of a hide, I suppose we could we just need to split that down the bottom there. Okay, right, anyway, let's turn it inside out anyway, get it drying off a little bit. I'll just put that a little bit out of shot, not too close to the fire, but just up. A nice log branch we got sticking out there, just to get that a little bit drying off. The fire's going beautiful now. Right, there's a male, without adding too much information. Look away now. don't want to be eating those parts. Some of you may. Okay, I'm going to put all that up near the tail. Keep everything together. Right now, I can see the chest cavity easily and where the guts are. Okay, and you can see where I've just taken it off there. There's a little bit starting to come out there. So what I'll do now is put it away from me. Try not to get on the mud, keep it on our chopping board. Hold the back legs like that. Tip of the knife just in where you can see where that come off. And just up and flick out, okay? Leave your knife sharp enough, trying to avoid that bit of guts there. There we go. Right. Just get down to where I can see them. You can see there's a lovely line there to follow, so just gonna basically cut away from me, just with the tip of the knife now. Only a little bit, just a little bit, until there. You can just see the chest cavity now, stomach. I go like that. This is the bit where I don't want to get on my hands and have to wash my hands at all. So all I'm going to do is I don't want to put it on the chopping board. So hopefully you can see this. I'll put it just down there on the floor. Hopefully you can see that. Let's just turn it inside out now. Okay, and just holding both the legs together. And there's the liver. Okay, that's valuable. That'll probably be the first thing where we can put that in the kebab anyway. I should just be able to pinch out under the liver without the blood coming out of it. If it's just been killed, that might bleed. Right, there's our liver. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on the skin, just up above the fire. And what that skin's doing now, inside out, it's giving us a little bit of a sort of cleanish table to work with. Right, there's the rest of the guts, and it's that bit down there, the entrails that I don't want. So what I'll do now is just take a stick. Okay, so I don't, trying to keep my hands clean. And that's the digestive tract there. Okay, and just basically take as much as you can off. It should, especially now it's rested. It's only attached now by that little bit there, so I haven't got any blood on my knife. There's its stomach, and its kidneys are still attached in there. Right, so put that down there. I say, if anyone knows what to do with the guts, obviously there's a few uses I could think of, but not anything crafty. So a bit more of the entrails there, and get that off. And then we should be that little sack there, without going into any finer detail. Definitely don't want to come into our food. I'm going to pinch that, take that away. Right, there's just the kidneys in there. It's pretty clean. We've got no blood, not too much blood on my hands, not too much blood on the chopping board, and more importantly, no guts. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice down the legs and basically fillet it anywhere I can. And filleting is the art, or the not the art, I suppose, technical term for filleting is basically a boneless piece of meat. So all you do, it doesn't matter if it's a squirrel, a mouse, a giraffe, a rhinoceros, a fish, is you start cutting through flesh until you hit bone, and then you trace the bone and take the flesh off. But hopefully I'm going to end up with a few pieces of meat off this that I'm going to then, say, tenderise with the back of the knife on the board and try and get them onto some sort of reasonable kebab. Anyway, the fire's looking pretty great now. It's nice and white and hot, so we want to crack on with this. So again, I'm just going to switch the camera for a minute while I finish this, and then I'll show you to tenderise it and put it on the stick. Right, I'm hoping that last bit came out. I think I might have slicked it onto slow-mo. Hopefully this log's that's branching too far in the way. Don't want to smash it off now, smash the camera. One thing I should have showed you, I'm going to show you, is how to basically take, that mustn't going to be a problem, is how to take the legs and well, basically the legs off. So just follow where they go, okay, and then just cut down across there, and you'll find they should snap off. Again, hold it up, just down through the legs there, make sure they don't go in the mud. And you should just break off both of them. And what you do is you'll find you've just gone through the thigh bone there. And this is the point now where you find once you've opened the bone, your knife will just go through where the knuckle was easily. This is the point where if you just want to do it in pieces now in a stew, this is probably what you'd want to do. So both of the front legs, I'm just going to go straight across the backbone and take those off. Just for the back of my knife now, make sure there's not too much moss on there again, staying quite clean. And the first bit of meat I'm going to take off is basically this lovely piece here, the gut, the sort of stomach lining, and what would be called the saddle or the loin. I'm just going to go right along the backbone, all the way along, both sides. Again, I want to smash this up, so as soon as I've got it to some reasonable stage off of the bone, what I don't want to do is have any bone in it and smash through, so I'm just going to use my hands to tear that off. And there's the rib cage underneath there, rib bones, so we're going to pull those off. We don't want any bones in our kebab. And these little bones we're going to put on the end of the log. And just start putting the meat now. Just filling it off and just putting it on the board in front of you. I'm going to smash it up in a minute. Tenderise it is the technical term. So again, no bone in any of that bit. What I can do is push in with a tip, push in again until I find that log or the chopping board, sorry. It's nice and controlled. And what I'll do is I'll go around the rib cage this time. Just keep putting the meat. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put the meat just up on that clean moss up there actually. The board's not that big. Right, there's the lungs in there and the heart. So if you want to make squirrel haggis, that's the bit that you're going to want to put in. Put those up there. Kidneys, put those up there. Not on my meat though, I don't actually like kidney. Right. Rib cage, not much meat on there. A little bit. And so it's just easy now, just to use your fingers. Oh, it dropped a little bit there. Use your fingers just to find out where the bones are, and then just find the bone, get into the bone, turn your knife, angle your knife round, and just feel it. All right, just feel it. Just keep cutting down, cutting down. All I'm going to do is just keep cutting down to the bone. Try not to get into the bone. Just keep pulling this off. I suppose you could do this with a piece of flint easily. I did find a piece of flint earlier. I could have done it with that. And there's not a great deal of major flesh on these. And what I would do if I was in the kitchen, on a stock pot, I'd just cook this down whole and then take all the meat off after it's cooked. It comes off a little bit easier. Right. So a little bit left on there. Just use your fingers to find out where the meat is. Either pull it off. If it won't come off with pulling it, just give it a little cut. And again, only little cuts. Trying not to get any bone in there. Trouble is, if you slice through it with your knife a little bit hard, you might end up getting some little bones in there. Just pull it all off. There's not much left on there now. A little bit up on there. Right, put the bones up and put the bone over there. Again, that can go into that basically go into a stock. You won't waste that. Let's put it on the end of the log actually. Right, these legs are where I'm going to get a little bit of flesh off as well, hopefully. So again, just put on your chopping board, find with your fingertips where the bone is, cut in, just angling the knife just ever so slightly away from you. You can get some nice pieces off now. Making sure there's not much moss in there. And so those back legs I'm going to get most of my meat off of. Okay, there's quite a bit on there. We've got a little pile going on there now. We've got enough for a little shish in a minute. Little squirrel shish kebab. I say boil all your bones or use them for any other primitive skills. You get some lovely little pieces off the legs. I say that carcass up there, there's not much belly on there. We wouldn't get much belly of squirrel. There's a little bit of loin on there, not much though. There's a little bit on there. I'll go on with the other leg. Get the main parts off of it. A lovely bit of thigh there. Again, you can just put these on the stick now if you want and put them on the fire. I'm going to try to tenderise it a little bit. Like you would do with a piece of steak if you're hitting it with a hammer, but we're going to use the back of the knife. Anyway, I'm just going to put a little bit of wood on the fire, finish that off, switch the camera for a minute, and hopefully we'll have enough to finish this shot. I don't have to go and put it back on charge. Right, a few more sticks on the fire. A little bit more meat off. See, off the front of there, it's pretty tough to get it off. And what you're trying to do is, the other thing as well, is if you rip it off, you can leave the sinew behind. That's the bit that makes it tough. Right, so there's our pile of meat. That's there. Okay, let's give this a final scrape off now. What I have got over on the fire is still one of the skewer sticks from the other day when we were doing the sausages. Just make sure it's strong enough. What I want to do is just give that a couple of branches ends on there. Just going to take that bark off of there a minute. Slide on there, make sure I haven't got any rough bits on there. This is hazel again, bears the edible fruit, the hazelnut. Don't use any wood that doesn't bear an edible fruit. Go in contact with your food, even for cooking on. The smoke is that poisonous and kill you. Right, there's our skewer stick. Again, we've taken the bark off that. We know that that's really clean inside of there as well, so there's no need to wash it. Right, there's our skewer stick. Now what we want to do, this is the tricky bit, I say. Basically tenderise it, so make sure that moss is off the back of the knife. And it's quite clean. Let's say, besides that blood on my hands, it's going to come off. Got no dirt on there. And that's not bad for you, that blood, do you know what I mean? It's like, we're not going to put it in our mouth in case it has got any salmonella on it, but any nasties on it, but there you go. Right, and just now, actually it's a bit brutal, actually, the side of that. You could use a small log. I'm going to use the side of the knife actually for this, because it's a bit brutal. What I'm going to do, and I'll put it onto there in a second, is basically I'm just mincing it. Can you see? It's just mincing, which is basically going to tenderise it. Yeah, a little bit brutal there, back of the knife, not too bad if I just look a bit more gently with it, I suppose. But side of the knife's doing it really good there. And a little bit of that rough bark on there, this is really hard. Vibrating my fire a little bit. Right, do all of that. I'm going to put it on the stick. Actually, I'm going to go and get some wild garlic and put a bit of wild garlic into it as well. I'm going to smash some wild garlic down, rub it into this. Anyway, switch the phone off again, try and preserve the battery. I haven't got much left now, and I'm not going to be able to get it charged up again today. So, hopefully, come back to this in a second. Alright, back with a little bit of wild garlic. Just brush the sand off of it. Only young little leaves at the moment, so it's not even February yet. So we'll get those, put them into a little pile so it can go everywhere. And again, just the back of the knife, just trying to keep on your chopping board so basically when you're practicing, have a nice flat chopping board for this to make yourself one or take yourself one. But good practice on the back of a log, isn't it? Right, that. So I've been trying to keep my hands clean, I haven't touched anything else. So some sticks that are up off the air, off the ground. Just get that smashed up. So, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. Right, loaded a bit more wood on the fire. You should hopefully be ready for us now. I haven't even done my coffee yet. Got my coffee kit there with me, which is my bag of coffee grains, my little titanium mug and a spoon. I'm going to show you, hopefully I might get this done with the batteries there, show you to make Gypsy coffee with, all you need is a mug, a metal spoon and your coffee. Right, so anyway, let's incorporate, that's the smashed up sort of minced meat there now. I will just mix that together. Get that. The black off the ash there. I'm saying if you're worried about having to wash your hands, you just think your hands were clean before you started. And that's only blood in there. And the garlic now, plenty of, as we know, antiseptic properties from the garlic. And there we go. Just give that a good squeeze now in your hand. And you've got to have it minced up enough where it won't fall off the stick. But right, so now we just want to get our kebab stick, which is over there by the fire, and basically I'm going to try, it might not be smashed up enough. If you find it won't form around the stick, just keep smashing it up a little bit. I'm just trying to now just work it, keep the end of the stick, not right on the end of the stick, so I can balance that on back of the fire. I'm just trying to, it's a bit of a game, you've got to kind of get the feel of it. It kind of wants to stick to your hand a little bit, so having to do that, but squeezing and releasing, squeezing and releasing. Let's try and get that bit of garlic in there. We're hoping that the proteins, as they cook, and what you want to do it, try and get it so it's kind of equal. Anyway, there we go, there's our sheath. We're hoping that when the proteins cook, they'll restrict and it won't fall off the stick. We just want to give it a spin like that, I suppose, as a test. See how it goes. Right, there you go, there's your squirrel. Rabbit next time. I don't actually like rabbit, I can only eat rabbit if it's been smoked in the ground for about 7 hours and then got a decent bottle of red wine on it. But anyway, so it wants to stick to your hand, you've got to do that, and then a little moisture from your hand, when your hand gets a bit moist and it stops to stick. But go and give it a roll, make sure it don't go anywhere. Right, let's put that on the fire, and I need to get on and put those poles on the roof now, make sure this tarp fits. If you're going to lose the daylight, that fire can just be smashed down a little bit, not too much. And then all we're going to do, I've just got one log and another log and just brace it in between. I'll show you in a second. We'll put that there now. Put it on that way up a little bit. So going to, shouldn't spin. There we go. Right, there's our squirrel and wild garlic sheesh. I need to get the tarp out of the bag, make sure it fits over the shelter, put the poles up and get the camera on some sort of angle where you can see where that's going on. Hopefully, say, we'll have some batteries. I've mostly used to do this, especially down the coast in the summer. The batteries lasted for ages. In this cold, they're stripped, as I was saying, the lad was saying the other day. So, food's on. Might actually go and get the coffee on now. Actually, I'm going to get, there's a spring down there, just come outside of the hill. So I'm going to fill my mug up with water while the fire's going. Otherwise I won't have any fire left. Well, I want a coffee after I've done this. So I'm basically going to fill the mug up to there, put it on the fire, put 2 tablespoons of coffee grains in, let that just about sort of get up to the boil, not too hot. Don't want it to boil, it sort of bitters it. And then I'm going to put my spoon, that part of it, in the fire, and then once it's red hot, put it in there. It makes a lovely sploshing noise. Hopefully I'll get to film that. Sounds just like an espresso machine. Oh, I don't know if you can see that actually. And yeah, it makes great fire. No coffee kit needed. Anyway, just go and get a bit of water and then get on with this fire. I say I'm going to switch the camera off again now. get that mug on there. Great thing about a metal mug with a handle stick out the side, don't worry about trying to make a trivet, putting it on like that. Okay, you get some heat off the flames. Most of the heat comes from the radiation. Just put it near the fire. What we do is take off those 2 sticks. We'll put those just on the back there, so no ash falls in it. You can see it. And what you want is that radiation, and it goes all over that surface of the mug. Won't burn your hands. Your handle's on the cold part of the fire. There's no way it can fall over. Still maintaining this lovely radiation for the squirrel. And so we're just going to turn it around now. Hopefully it won't come apart. You can put that down a little bit closer in a minute. Just keep it just there, but so it's just, I say, just those logs it's resting on, just to get it to constrict. And once those flames are gone, I'll get it across there and right down over those embers. It's looking good. A little bit of work, wasn't it? They've just been easiest to put it on. Right, about 2 tablespoons of coffee, or 1 and a bit. It's middle of nearly the afternoon now. Put that in there. I say let that start steaming. Don't want to boil it a bit as the coffee. And then in a minute I'm just going to put the spoon into the fire. Once that's red hot and that's stewed, just press that in, put it right down to the bottom of the mug, and somehow the heat, it makes it go and all the coffee grounds fall to the bottom. Anyway, you've got to give it a bit of a stir. It's a titanium mug, so it's not going to take too long at all, and you find the coffee grains won't stir in that well when it's cold. But anyway, let's make sure we ain't got them flames in a minute. All you want to do is just make sure you've always just got glow at the back. Okay, don't put any sticks against it, otherwise you won't get any heat. So just, if you need to add sticks now, put them that way and that way. And just keep that triangle, that heat triangle, that nice orange triangle going against the mug, and you see it's starting to steam already. So what we'll do is we'll put that somewhere where it's not going to burn myself. See if I can get it to balance just there in a second. No, just move that down a minute. Right, and that'll start to get there. Come on. You see, never work with animals or children or fire. Right, let's let the spoon get hot there. Put that into a little bit there. Now this is just constricted. See, now he shouldn't fall off. So what I'm going to do now is just open that bit of ember up there. And that should hopefully, that's why we don't put this food right on the end of the stick if we want to like do it like that, so it can balance on another log like that. Don't need to be too clever. And there we go. There's our Gypsy Coffee on, and our Squirrel and wild garlic kebab. I found when I just put it over there a second ago, because the muscle haven't smashed up quite enough, hasn't joined the sinews and not constricted. I'm worried about it falling off if I put it down there. I should have done a little bit more smashing up, but anyway, it's banged on there, so I'm not going to tempt fate and move it, and it's just cooking absolutely beautifully there. Spoon's getting nice and hot in the flames there, handle's right off of it. Let's move it there a second. No fat's going to, hardly any fat on that squirrel, it's not going to run out anywhere into my spoon. Keep that spoon on the flame anyway, getting it red hot. Coffee's just starting to steam, so give it a little stir. You can see I'm getting hungry now, a little bit dehydrated. It's a little bit late in the day now. I've got about an hour's light left. And what I want to do now is just make sure that this tarp goes over, put some of these poles on, just in case we'd have to put, if the forecast changes, I'll have to put the tarp over the shelter. There we go. Coffee's, I can see it's steaming enough now. Anyway, let's just go for this a second before we do that shelter. Right, flip the ash off of it. And there we go. And somehow it makes the coffee grounds go to the bottom. There's a few in there in a second. I'm not too worried. Right, let's put that to the side of the fire. Leave that kebab to cook. Right. Actually, just put it there, keep it warm for a second. Oh, right. Got lovely and warmed up now, cooking the squirrel and wild garlic kebab, and the coffee's made. Right. So I've used the approach here as I'm going to show you how to take these poles down in another video when the battery's charged up. Phone's going to die. I've got about 5 minutes left, and then it's going to be getting dark and I need to get back anyway. So what I've done is I've cut myself about 8 hazel poles, as long as I could get them. It's just a little bit thicker than my thumb down there. Some of them are going to be too long, but what I want to do now is put 2 at the back and hoop them over, 2 in the middle and 2 at the front. That'll just give us our 3 arches, and then hopefully the tarp will fit over it. I'll get that out in a minute. But this has to be done. I suppose if that tarp didn't fit, we'd have to rethink it. We could possibly just have it straight down flat. We could just have it going flat like that, but I want to try and give it some curve so the water kind of goes over that way. It's more in keeping with the landscape. I'm not going to say it's going to be Google Earth proof, but there we go. So what we want to do is get these into the ground if we can. That one's a little bit too long, so what I'm going to do, I'll take it off of that notch there, just in case that's not long enough. I won't be able to get up into the trees, and these are great things. Big secateurs, silent. Really great tool to have. If you're going to go out and invest in axes and saws and stuff, and you want to be processing stuff in the woods, like, get yourself a pair of approach shears, or at least a pair of secateurs. Falcon do the best ones. Right, let's move those up there. And if your ground's really hard now, if you can find a season, because this is all green, I've cut this down, if you can find a seasoned piece that's really hard, use that as your drill, and then get yourself a log and bang it in first of all. But you've seen we're on really fine green sand here, so it should go in. So right, first of all, and that's why we left the earth and the spoil that we've dug out just a little bit back from the edge, so I don't have to go right through this to stick the sticks in, because again we want to just try and pile that over. So we'll start right at the back. I'm going to come in from the edge, well, it's about 25 centimetres or about a foot. Okay, now what I don't want on the classic sort of bender shelter, where we want it sort of really high and up like that, I want this to be more curved like that. So I may end up putting them slightly on an angle. Don't want to put them too much of an angle, because in case they pull out and come back together, but we'll just have to give it a go. We'll put them in straight for, I'll tell you what, actually I'm going to put them on just a slight angle. Can you see they're straight up? I don't know what that is, about 25 degrees, just so I'm not leaning right over it as well, so I can get some purchase. Try and make it so the natural curve, if there's a curve on the pole, goes that way. Oh, he goes right in easily. And this is where you don't want to cut too much off it straight away, because you don't know how far they're going to go into the ground. They want to bite. And just check that now. You shouldn't, just check the earth, make sure you don't pull it out this way. If you find that it's pulling the bank out, what we need to do is off that stake there, we put another stake there, another stake there, another stake there, log or something, a big branch that we found like this, shore it up, and then basically this will take the tension of it pulling over and won't pull your bank out. But that one almost would go right down on its own, and that's really good, because that's going to be one of the back ones. Okay, and you can see this is where the bank, I've come in a little bit from the edge there. I don't know if I want it right on the edge there, do I? The top's going to end up coming down that way. So that one's okay. And don't need to be sort of bomb-proof, I suppose, but it'd be great if we could walk over it, wouldn't it? And if you put the mud and the soil over it, it's going to be quite heavy. So hopefully we should be able to walk over it. Depend on how many sticks we put in. At the moment we just want 3 on each side, put those together and hopefully show how to weave those together. It should hold themselves without any string. But saying if at the moment the weather gets bad, we get the tarp out, we just put the tarp out over here. Okay, we could just literally peg it down over the banks here. It's all soft, take out any sharp stuff. At least we've got something already. It's all about constant improvement and using what you've got. And if I didn't have anything, I would have cracked on and done this. But again, if I was ill, running out of energy, what would I have done? Right, anyway, one in there. This one's not as long. So, like that. just so they bite. Right, this is a tricky bit. You need to get as high as you face the camera, shall I? Get as high as you can. Make sure. It's typical. There's a fork in the top of that one, and it's caught up on that one. There you go. Right. Now, just bring them together. Okay, so cross them, then cross your hand over that one, and just bring them down. Lean against there. Try and find your curve. And once these are doubled, they become quite strong anyway. Right. So just about. What am I? I'm gonna be right there, right in the middle, sort of stood in the middle. And now I'm gonna hold those two and try. And this is where, if it's a bit long, you'd never get it through this, but sometimes you can get the width through. Be careful of your eyes when you're doing this. Wear safety glasses if you're unsure. Okay, and that one. Will I get him round twice? Not yet. Right, he's in position already. Hand in the middle. Okay, bring the other one down. Hopefully he'll just about get in there. And if he's going to catch on the bank, put him up that way a little bit, just to get him in there. You need quite a lot of force, not too much though. It's not the most strenuous thing. Right, that one wants to go. You want these to meet, but so give it a bit of work. Right, now we'll get that end down. They shouldn't, just even with that, come apart. And there you go, we've got a nice dome. Just repeat that, there in the middle, there on the ends, and then we've got some sort of formwork anyway. And using these hazel poles, if you've got them, I know people like to put tarps up in all different ways. One thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't never put a stick up into my tarp. And you can do this, you don't have to put your tarp over it. If we're not using a 8-pound polythene tarp, you could put this over it, I suppose. Make sure you've got any sharp bits down there, but if it's a really good tarp, you can peg it up underneath it, you can attach it underneath this. Okay, it's a really great way. So that one there, okay, manhandle it, get it down, and once it's up to that stage, put it round like that, won't waste it. And this technique the gypsies have used for years, and I've used this and lived in these, and they work. And as long as they're covered up, these poles, they'll season and they'll last 10 years. I can promise you that without any shadow of a doubt. Okay, so I just need to repeat this. I'll switch the camera off. I literally got about 10% left. Finish these, then we'll just check the tarp fits, and then I want to go back and drink my coffee and eat my food. Right, so there you go, I've bent those in position. I've made sure they were all the same height by basically making sure height of my shoulder keeps them in contour with the land then. Right, let's get out this cheap poly tarp out of the bag. Try to preserve the bag, no such thing as rubbish. And open it by the seam as I can. I can use this bag for all sorts of things. Right, there we go. Say it's £8 this tarp from builders merchants or hardware store. Oh, it's got some eyelets in it. Oh, there you go, that's silver on one side. And it is the bonded tarp I was telling you about. It's amazing, it's really tough. Silver on the inside, how cool is that? So when we've got little night lights in there, imagine all little candles or lanterns or something, that's going to be great. So let's see if it fits over. Battery's about to go. Right, let's get out. So it's supposed to be 3.5 by 2.5. And we reckon that's going to be our, you know, it's square, so that's going to be our longest angle. So hopefully this is no more than 2.5 meters, which it shouldn't be. I think we want to take it over that way. sure how to squeeze it up yet. There we go. Even reinforced with nylon around the outside. Not bad for 8 pounds. There we go. Right. Use these offcuts. Use the offcuts for the big poles. We just quickly make some pegs. We've got little eyelets. Won't be able to do anything too big through that. Just in case we needed to use it in an emergency, you know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it just in case it rains. There's no rain on the forecast, but in case it rains, because this is Britain and it quite often rains. Just get 4 out to do, or 4, we just peg it out on 4 corners. There's a gale of wind, I'll have to come down and put loads of the earth on the corners of it. But anyway, let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like it's going to fit. Perfect. Eyelets are quite small and they're not that strong, but what we're expecting for that amount of money. Right, just peg it down just loosely for the minute, just to make sure it covers it. And it's done what I was hoping. It's actually covered the span and the spoil, because what we don't want is rain running into the shelter. And we've got enough to go at the back. You can't see, but there's enough to go at the back over the bank, and just enough to weave around the porches. Right, so we know that's going to fit, and already let's roll that round just to show you something. It's going to roll it round on itself. And I must, one of the next jobs is to dig this out flat in front of the shelter. I've nearly fallen over 1,000 times now. So, anyway, just secured down like that. You say, put the soil over it if it was going to be windy now. And at least that'd give us some type of shelter. Anyway, that's stage 2. I'm going to go and eat my squirrel, drink my coffee, and then make my way home. Thanks for watching, stay tuned. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, I'm sorry there's a lot of talking in it, and it's long-winded, it's not snappy and cut. I'm not looking to win any Oscars or any film awards. Most of my inspiration for making these videos is for my students of the past, and students hopefully like you of the future, to be able to use this as reference points. Okay, so it's a little bit boring, a little bit like one of those lessons at school where it goes on, there's loads of information hopefully. But hopefully in all of that talking, I get these little brain waves that come to me and little bits from the past. I say I've been living outdoors now for the last 15 years. Well, not outdoors. I've got a shelter. The first one for the first 10 years was very similar to this. So hopefully I've got a little bit of experience. And yeah, I say, we're not looking to win any film awards. So I appreciate your patience for watching. Stay tuned. Like the videos, please subscribe to the channel and share it so other people can watch it. Thank you. That was more tiring than I thought actually. Let's check this coffee out anyway. Just lovely and warm now. Fire's just died down there now. There's a little bit of heat in there. And guess what, look. I'll show you that actually. Stayed on there, look. Perfect. There you go. Absolutely perfect. Hopefully. Right, anyway. Enough talking. Sit down, coffee, eat, pack up, but we got a cover on the shelter anyway. That's the main thing. And I suppose for all the faffing around, filming, charging batteries up, thinking about having to eat some food. I don't know how long that's taken. It was about 4 hours to actual digging, about an hour's preparation time, I suppose, gathering the poles, levelling off the ground and anything else. But within, I don't know, within a day, yeah, if you got your back into it, it's possible. And the next thing to do is to shave down the poles inside, make sure there's no sharp bits, and hopefully cover that with some little bit of earth up the sides, hopefully some sticks on the top, and insulate a bit. Anyway, bon appetit, thanks for watching. And that is not too bad. It's a lot more tender than if it had just been put on there as a whole piece. Not too chewy. That's the most tender spit roast squirrel I think I've ever had, especially with mild tooth. Cheers. Couple of little bits in there, but not too bad. Like I said, Deboning is a young man's game, this. But there we go, we've done it. I'm proud that, chuffed myself, I managed to do a little bit of it anyway. Half the digging. So hopefully you'll see this before I see you, Ben. Look forward to finishing it off and your first night sleeping in it.